Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Commerce Lab by Ecomcy, the place of A related to Amazon FBA parallel and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we're bringing a special guest. Her name is Debi S, who is the director of sales and marketing when it comes to SPK Tech. So they actually specialize on everything that has to do with account management related to Amazon. That's why I wanted to bring David today to my podcast because she has an huge amount of experience when it comes to Amazon account health. And we know how complex this can be. I mean, Amazon is such a complex machine. And
Mm,
if you really don't monitor the health of your Amazon account, it can go downwards very fast. And that's why today I want to talk about what are some of those three main pillars you need to make sure you, as an account manager or as a seller, need to always be on top to make sure that you successfully scale your business on Amazon. So, Devi, it's a pleasure to have you on the show today. How you doing? Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you invited me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. I've been seeing what you've been doing with your podcast as well. And I love the content you're putting out there and the amount of wisdom you're sharing. So it's definitely such a nice opportunity to have you today on the show because, as I briefly just said during the introduction, I feel everything related to account health on Amazon is always a topic that I feel sellers are struggling. Every single day, I can tell
Mm,
you how many messages or emails I get of from clients that they're having a tough time. They're getting issues with customer service, they're having suspension issues, complaints. So I'm really looking forward to, learn for some of those gold nuggets, as they call them. You're going to
yeah.
share with us today and try to, give as much tips as possible to our Amazon community. So, before we go into that, Debbie, I know you have such an amazing background in the space. So tell us a little bit about you and, of course, SPC Tech, and then let's go from there.
Well, SPC Tech is an Amazon SPN verified agency. We work in the same industry as you do, and we've been around for about a decade. And we do e-commerce marketplace account management. That's primarily our major service, and we really focus on account health. So our account management mainly includes listing optimization, catalog management, enhanced brand content, A plus content, but most importantly, we monitor your overall account health in the marketplace. And it's our responsibility to make sure that you're free of violations, whether it's regarding product compliance, order defect rates, or shipping performance. So I'm very happy today to talk about some of those issues and what we see people coming up with.
Yes, I'm looking forward as well. As I say, I feel account health, especially in the last couple of years, unfortunately, Amazon's been adding more and more KPIs and things that essentially affect the health of your account. So
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to start the conversation around the topic, which is the pillars that basically ensure that you can successfully keep a healthy account. So let's start with that. I think the most important thing, maybe give us an intro about what you will say those are some of the top three pillars to ensure you have a successful account health, and then of course let's go deeper into those. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned it. Amazon selling is just ever changing and very fast paced.
Yeah.
So, what we understand is that there's this constant pressure as sellers to just make sure that you're doing everything right. And we believe that if you use three areas, that you'll be very successful. It's customer service, your product policy, and your shipping policies. And so we've become very laser focused on just making sure that the account is healthy in particularly those three areas.
Awesome. So I think you mentioned something that I see Amazon sellers struggling a lot, which is customer service. We know sometimes, consumers can be very savvy in the way that sometimes they can take advantage of the way
Right.
Amazon operates, or they can complain to the point that that can significantly affect your account. So I'm very curious to know from your the perspective and the extensive experience that you have when it comes to dealing with customer service, like why do you feel customer service lately is being such an important pillar to have a successful, basically healthy account on Amazon? Yeah.
Yeah, well, Amazon is really prioritizing a positive customer experience because they want to keep their marketplace healthy. If you think of Amazon as a large mall that has millions of sellers, they have to have some kind of guidelines to make sure that, the customers who are coming in are happy, because happy customers will come back for more purchases and they'll also leave you positive reviews. And so unhappy customers will leave you negative reviews, and that's going to hurt your reputation, lead to chargebacks and returns, which of course going to hurt your account health. So I think Amazon has prioritized the positive customer experience primarily to keep trust and credibility in the marketplace. You want to feel confident when you go to Amazon that you're making purchases from sellers that are professional,
Hmm.
and so we found that that's just really important to start there because that's where Amazon is prioritizing.
Yes, I think beyond that, what I also feel that is been happening is that customers are getting also more demanding because there are
Mhm.
so many options out there. That's the reality. There are other marketplaces now. People have options, and if you are really not the top of the game when it comes to the experience that you provide to your customer, they can just basically go to your neighbor and basically purchase the product from there, and that's a customer that you lose. So it's very important that you understand how to keep customers happy, because I know the day that's the foundation to ensure you can
Mhm.
successfully scale around Amazon. Now, I would like to learn from you, like from the experience of managing accounts, like what are you seeing some are some of the biggest issues people encounter when it comes to basically having a healthy account on Amazon? And beyond that, once you mention some of them, like what are some of the best practices that you feel are successfully allowing Amazon sellers to keep that bar high when it comes to customer satisfaction? Yeah.
Yeah. Even if you have a really strong customer service focus, I think that you hit the nail on the head with one thing. People are demanding nowadays.
Mm, mm,
They want high quality product at low prices. They want it fast, no delays. They want to get returns and refunds as quickly as they can. So you're going to run into various issues like this when you're, managing a Walmart. Excuse me, an Amazon marketplace, and so there are things that you need to understand. There are actually two types of reviews that will happen on Amazon. The first one is the product review, which we're all very familiar with. We look to see, what other sellers have been. And the other one is the buy or the seller reviews. And these are called your A to Z claims.
mhm. Yeah.
And so Amazon is actually guaranteeing anybody who buys from them that if they have a negative experience with a seller, that they can file a claim. And this is going to negatively impact your health and your seller ranking. So that's the reason why we're saying, make sure you're taking care of your customers. You don't want A to Z claims. If there's a product defect, take care of it. If it's a shipping problem, take care of it. I mean, the faster that you can uh, respond to some of these complaints and stuff like that, the better off you're going to be, and your results within the Amazon marketplace. Um, if
Yes.
customers have inquiries, make sure that you answer those either about products, orders, returns. They want timely and accurate information, and be sure your communication is clear. Okay. If you're not understanding exactly what they're asking, get some clarification, because negative reviews on your product or on your seller account, they are going to hurt you.
Yeah, I know. It's something that I feel a lot of sellers dropping the ball, because sometimes it's very easy to fall into the trap of getting very emotional and thinking that, I know my product, I know my brand, people just complaining because they want to complain, and you don't want to acknowledge that there is actually an issue with the product or the experience that you're giving. So I agree. I would say one of the best things you can do as a brand owner is be as proactive as possible and
Yeah.
be fast. when it comes to providing the solution, because if a client reach out and you're gonna take 48 hours, 72 hours to get back to them, by the time you actually propose a solution, the experience and the first impression you already
Mhm.
gave is so negative that it's very difficult to win the customer back. So 100%.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Just being proactive and quick responses. Uh, the faster that you can resolve it, the better the experience is for them, even though it's a negative experience. If you can
Exactly.
resolve it quickly, then and give them a solution or at least make some kind of an effort. I'll give you just a yesterday we were reviewing an account to find out how to create a plan of action because they had been deactivated due to
Okay.
some A to Z claims, right? So we're reviewing the account, we're looking through it, and the person says, well, the buyer says, well, I didn't get the product. And the
Mhm.
seller responds back and says, well, I can see that it got delivered. UPS says it was in your mailbox. And she's
Yeah.
like, well, I was at home all day and there was nothing in my mailbox. So I'm not sure what happened to the package. And the seller's response was, well, there's not really a lot I can do because it shows it was delivered.
Yeah.
You know,
I
and
mean,
you're like,
mm,
what? No.
mm,
They even went as far as to say, maybe you can contact USPS and find out why they didn't put it in your mailbox.
yeah. And then
So
by then the customer is gonna get more angry and then reach out to Amazon, and that's where things get out of control very fast.
yes, exactly. I don't think that people understand that these A to Z claims that Amazon guarantees that you can speak against the seller actually will affect your order defect rate, and that's one of your key metrics for account health. So if you have a high order defect rate, you may not get the buy box. You may get suppression from featured offers, or you might get your account suspended. So that's the reason why we talk about these things all the time is because, you know, there it can affect a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I think now another thing I would like to bring to the conversation is everything regarding the policies of a product, because I feel
Mm,
that's also a very important thing that's going to ensure the health of the account is kept consistent and high. I was actually very curious to see that that was one of your pillars as well. So tell us, why do you feel policy is such an important thing to implement, and what are some of the strategies and tips you can recommend around this specific pillar? Yeah.
yeah, next to customer service, product, policy, your product policy is so important. A lot of times people order from, someone who just ships directly to FBA and they've never seen the product. They don't have any idea, until they start getting some complaints and stuff. So, from Amazon's perspective, there are a few things that you have to do. You need to comply with any laws and regulations. So, if there's a safety standard, or any legal type of requirement, maybe an FDA certification or something like that, that you need to provide, you need to make sure that you have those. Then they also have a prohibited items list. So it clearly outlines things that you can't sell, like let's say cannabis paraphernalia. All right, you
Mm-hmm.
can't put that on the Amazon platform, or it's going to affect you. And then I think one of the things when we talk about from an agency perspective that we're doing keyword optimization and we're looking at your catalog and stuff, accurate product descriptions are so important. They need to be detailed but very truthful about your product,
Yeah.
including your materials, your functionality, and even any potential hazards. Um, be upfront about it. And then one of the big policies that you'll see is Amazon protects those intellectual properties. So it safeguards any copyrights on images. If you put an image up on your store, you need to have permission to use it if you didn't take it or you didn't have someone take it for you. Any trademarks on brands or even product patents. And that's how Amazon makes sure that they prevent counterfeit products. There are categories that you have to get approved to sell in, and some very specific regulations within, like, say, health categories and different things like that. So you have to adhere to they're pretty well defined as far as what Amazon's expectations are. And most of that is because they want to foster really a safe marketplace for everyone who is involved. Now, the benefits to the customer, they know that they're getting quality and safety standards met. They also know that they're reducing any risks of injury or and receiving faulty merchandise, and it's very transparent to them. An accurate product description, having prohibited items, it helps the customer to know that they're making informed decisions when they purchase. And then it's fair, copyrighted goods, misleading information, all of that just goes to, if enforced, promoting a trust within the marketplace.
Yes, I think you mentioned another thing people do as a mistake, which is the pro description. In the sense that I see so many times people doing claims that they shouldn't be doing, that they have certain certifications, certain tests, or the product can do certain things that are
Mm,
not being, validated.
yeah.
And I'm sure you see this every single day. This is one of the main routes of suspensions or suppressions of
Mhm.
listings, because people sometimes just go blindly do the keyword research. They use sometimes an AI tool to write their copy, but then they don't make sure they tailor that to the specific product in terms of what are the features and the uniqueness that you bring into the market in terms of the item itself. So it's such an important thing. And the other thing I like is that you mentioned that I feel like not a lot of people discuss is the copyright side of things. I like this one is such a huge thing because I'm sure you see this mistake all the time as well. People take images from Google or other
Yep.
websites or competitors, and they just think that they can copy, and that's a huge red flag for Amazon.
Yes, exactly. Again, Amazon has to protect the small sellers and the large sellers. And so they're just trying to kind of level the playing field for everybody. Where, if you need product photos and your supplier isn't offering those for you, then you're going to have to take on the expense of that. And you can't expect a larger company to pay for all of your photos.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I know. Now, another thing I would like to talk about product policy is like, what are some of the, you will say, if you have to choose one of the main types of violation you see people suffering from, that would
Mm.
be. And beyond that, once we discuss what is the main policy basic evaluation people is doing, what is usually the plan of action you give to your clients, so people ask you how to solve it, so people can take
Yeah.
action on
Well, since probably September of last year, we've really
it.
seen a high increase on product authenticity issues.
Okay.
The customer complaining, or evidence somehow suggests that there's an inauthentic product that can lead to account suspension. And the buyer might not, I mean, the seller on the marketplace may not even be aware that they may have bought inauthentic product. So this is the reason why your record keeping is so important. You want to have invoices that show who you purchased it from, because this is what Amazon, if somebody complains, it could be the brand themselves complain because they don't believe that you have the right to sell their product. Therefore, they don't know that what you're selling is actually theirs. So, if you are selling a brand, we recommend that you get a letter of authorization from the brand. So, the way that most brands work is they have somebody who manufactures the product, and then they usually use a distributor. Okay. So, if you're buying from a supplier who is a direct distributor from the brand, they can offer you a letter of authorization. If you're just buying,
Mhm.
pallets of leftover product from, you probably don't have authorization to sell that item. And so, um, what we see is a lot of these inauthentic product things end up in account suspension because people can't back it up with invoices or letters of authorization. And so this is probably, we've seen just a really high volume of these recently.
Yeah, I think this issue I have seen the same, and unfortunately, sometimes comes from misinformation. People think that sometimes they can just buy products from any reseller or any manufacturer,
Mm.
and and this can be such a costly mistake, not only from the point that your account can get suspended, but then if you realize that you basically bought inventory that hasn't been qualified and to be effectively sold on a platform, then you're left with all this dead inventory that
Mhm.
essentially is illegal to some extent to sell. So it's such an
Yeah.
important thing that you do your due diligence before you really commit into big purchases like that.
Yeah, and
um
if you get your account suspended and you are able to provide, or you're even able to explain to Amazon, "I'm sorry that happened from my supplier, I'll make sure that I go through," you could very likely have all of your product destroyed.
exactly, because it's illegal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So you can even resell it. And the worst, yeah.
No, exactly.
Right.
It's not like you can pull it from Amazon and get it back, because if they determine that it is indeed inauthentic, it's inauthentic on their marketplace and any other marketplace. So they have the right to dispose of product that they believe to not be authentic.
Yeah. Now I would like to come with the conversation towards the last pillar, because so far we've been talking in terms of the product violation. We also at the beginning mentioned everything that has to do with the customer service. So I'm curious to know, based on your experience, what do you think is that third pillar that is definitely a must have to keep a
Shipping.
healthy account on Amazon? Yeah.
It's shipping. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, Amazon actually, when Amazon first started, you know, seems like such a long time ago. Their big thing was always based on your shipping and your shipping rate. That's what Prime is all about. If you have a Prime membership, you have guarantees that you're going to have shipping done. So it has to be fast and reliable, and it's probably a major factor in customer service satisfaction. They expect their product to arrive on time. They expect it to be undamaged, and they want it to be, within the time frame that they've been told. Most people even want to be able to track it. So even if you're entering your shipping and you're putting an incorrect number or something in it, that could lead to problems for you. So there are some metrics that you can pay attention to that you need to just keep in mind, like your on time delivery rate, or they call it OTDR. You need to have
Hmm.
at least 97% of your orders arrive on time. Okay. This
Yeah.
builds customer satisfaction. The next metric that we would keep in mind is your late shipping rate, or
Yeah.
LSR. And so you want to strive to have less than 4% of any of your shipments arrive late. And this shows that you have reliability in the fulfillment. And the last metric that you really look at when you're talking about shipping is a valid tracking rate, or VTR. You want to ensure that at least 95% of all of your shipments have a valid tracking information. This means the customer can track their information, and it gives them some transparency. They know my package is going to get here tomorrow, right? Um, and
Yeah.
so, in fact, if you focus on just those metrics alone when it comes to shipping, you'll have a smooth experience for your customers, and you'll also maintain a really positive reputation as a seller.
Yes, I think also the reason why I encounter from experience that sellers struggle with these metrics is because they might be coming from our marketplaces where shipping is more flexible, like eBay, for example, or your
Mm,
own website, and they are not tied to such a high KPIs when it comes to performance of shipping. And that's why I'm curious to learn from you, like based on this thing that you see, you have started to identify as a trendy issue from sellers. I guess your recommendation will also be that from day one, if you really don't have experience with shipping, it would be to get started with FBA rather than
yeah.
FBM, because pretty much Amazon removes all this weight out of your shoulders and can make sure you don't need to have an extra issue basically on the bucket, especially at the beginning that so many things are complex for you, right?
Yeah, we really do recommend, especially for people who are just beginning, unless a company comes to us and they have been shipping, they have their own warehouse and that type of stuff, or they have a 3PL warehouse that is very accurate and can provide them with
Mm-hmm.
documentation and stuff. we typically will recommend fulfillment by Amazon. Now, the reason some of our clients don't take fulfillment by Amazon is maybe they have very heavy product,
Exactly.
and fulfillment by Amazon is really good for people who don't take up a lot of shelf space. So if you have something that's
Mhm.
very large, you're going to pay for all of that shelf space that you take up at Amazon. And for shipping purposes, you're going to pay for something that's very heavy for a shipping rate as well. So it is important that you're thinking about what you're sending to FBA. You want it to be now, one of the things I will tell you that a lot of people don't understand is make sure that your shipping measurements are all very accurate. A lot of people
Yes.
will just say, oh, I think that's about 12 inches by 6 inches by, and just
Yeah.
kind of ballpark it, but that could be losing you money through the FBA, process, because FBA is based upon the measurements that you put into and you want to check it from time to time to make sure that it's accurate and something hasn't changed, because
Yeah.
it can make a huge difference. But
Yeah.
here's what's nice about the pros of FBA: you get the shipping, fast shipping that you want, because they have a really big network of places. I lived in Dallas, Texas for a long time. I could
Yeah.
get 7-day delivery in Dallas because
I
they
know.
had warehouses right there, and they would use the Uber drivers to bring them to you.
Mm.
So I was happy. I could just do it right away. They also take care of your customer service issues, any returns, and all of that type of stuff. So by using FBA, you are paying for a service that can really benefit you if you're a first time seller, but you do have less control.
Yeah.
So you give up the fulfillment processes. If product gets damaged during storage or even delayed, Amazon will take care of it for you. And they will, if it's their fault that it got damaged, shelf damaged, or something like that, they will refund you for that at the price that you would be selling at. But
Hmm.
the big con for FBA is that there are storage and fulfillment fees, and that
Yeah.
can eat into your profit. And especially when you're first getting started, sometimes you don't have a lot of profitability yet because you've just invested in all of that product and all of that type of stuff. So we find FBM is a viable option if you have reliable carriers, good packaging, your listings are all accurate, and that will minimize returns so that you have a lot of customer service returns. Um, and then you provide communication to your customers regarding the shipping timelines, delays. You get good tracking information in there and stuff. Um, New sellers do like FBM because they're
Yeah.
starting out and they want to learn a little bit before they scale up. So if you have a low volume of products, you might be able to manage this. But if you have a high volume,
It's
this is
tough. Yeah.
almost impossible to keep up with.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends on what your specific needs are and stuff, but there are a lot of things to consider. But usually we would recommend it if your product really fits the parameters where it's ideal to be shipped through FBA.
Love it. Now, to start coming towards the end of the episode, I would like to basically hear from you as a conclusion point. Like, what is would be your advice based that we have covered these three pillars? That is basically a customer service, a product policy, and shipping. How do you feel, maybe from the perspective of daily task or strategies or certain shifting the way they manage their account they should start implementing to ensure that these three pillars are always like interconnected to
Yeah.
achieve the best account health? Like, what is your conclusion on that as an advice?
So, I probably said this, I can't tell you on how many different uh, podcasts, but you really have to know the rules. You need to make sure, like in any business, regardless of whether it's online or it's a brick or mortar store and stuff like that, if you're renting a facility, you need to know what that landlord does and doesn't allow you to do within their facility. It's kind of the same thing if you're on Amazon. Their policies are pretty extensive, but you need to make sure you understand at least the basics things that are prohibited, and some of the targets that are really crucial. You can find those in Seller Central. So if you need to review them from time to time, you can. But then the other thing that I would say to you is if you receive any kind of communication from Amazon whatsoever, do not ignore it. Do not
Yeah,
do nothing.
I
A
know.
lot of people will come to us and we'll say, "Did you get any kind of?" Yeah, I got some emails. I think, oh, I don't know, a couple months ago. Well, what did you do with those? Well, I didn't really understand. I didn't know what to do with it and stuff. Pay attention to if Amazon is communicating with you, they want something. They want you to do something. They need maybe invoices. They may need something from you. So I always tell people it's like if you have an overdue bill and it comes in the mail, if you don't open that overdue bill, it doesn't go away. It's still
It keeps
there.
building up and it keeps getting worse.
Yes, exactly. So if you see something from Amazon, it's not going away. You need to take care of it as quickly as you can. And if you don't have the expertise, there are plenty of places you can reach out. There's Seller
Exactly.
Forum where you can ask. Amazon itself has several places that you can reach out to them. You have the Seller Central information. And sometimes you will need to go to someone who's a professional and say, hey, can you help me with this? There are
Mm.
some built-in tools on your account health dashboard that will help you to see too. Like we talked about some of the shipping rates or the order defect rates for product. So there's plenty of places that you can try to figure out what's going on. And if you just can't, that's when you can go to a professional. There's lots of people out there who can really help you decipher what needs to be done.
Of course, like you guys. So thank you so much, David. It's been such a pleasure to have you here. I know this goes beyond so many extra points, of course, due to time we're gonna cover, but at the same time, I think we cover some of the main ones I see people consistently really struggling with. And I'm sure if people want to learn more about other tips or really figure out ways to improve their account health, they can reach out to you guys. So it would be great if you can share like how people can reach out to you and also your company SPC Tech to work on that. Yeah.
Yes, so you can always find us online at spctek.com. We also have a podcast called Ecom Insiders. It's on YouTube, Spotify, and any of those places where you typically listen to podcasts. I'm going to have Vincenzo on
Yeah.
mine very soon. And so
Super
we'll be
excited.
about some of these same things account wise. And so whenever you need us, there's contact forms on our website. You can just reach out to us. We always give our first consultation complimentary. So even if you
That's
just have a question, you're not sure whether you want to pay money to fix the problem and stuff like that, you can always give us a call or on our website, fill out our contact form.
also David. So thank you so much. Pleasure. And I can't wait to see you soon in your podcast. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Bye bye
Thank you.
now.
Bye bye.